The Burning Crusade brought many changes to mounts and riding in World of Warcraft. The expansion added flying mounts to the game for the first time, along with some new ground mounts and new ways to increase your mounted movement speed. There are also some important changes for the riding skill itself. We'll talk about these changes first, then show you all of the mounts in TBC and where you can get them. Getting your first mount is easier in TBC than it was in Vanilla WoW. Without factoring in any reputation discounts, a basic ground mount and apprentice riding skill will now cost you 45 gold altogether, down from 100. The level required to use a basic mount has also been reduced from 40 to 30. For epic mounts, the total cost has been lowered as well. The mounts themselves only cost 100 gold, but they now require the journeyman riding skill, which costs 600 gold to train. That's still a discount from the 1,000 gold you had to spend before TBC. The level requirement for these faster mounts is still level 60. You can learn to ride ground mounts from the trainer for your character's race. Training with any other race requires exalted reputation with that race's city faction. There used to be different versions for different types of mounts, such as horse riding and wolf riding, but those have been replaced by the universal apprentice and journeyman riding skills. Trainer locations can be found later in this video in the section for each race's ground mounts. Paladins and Warlocks do not need to learn either of these skills from a trainer. They automatically learn the riding skills when they acquire their respective mounts. You can learn to fly with the expert riding skill when you reach level 70. You'll need 800 gold to train the skill, plus another 100 gold to buy a basic flying mount. You must have already trained journeyman riding before you can learn expert. Standard flying mounts have the same speed as standard ground mounts, so an epic ground mount will actually be faster. However, flying will allow you to reach areas that are otherwise inaccessible, as well as completely avoiding enemies and obstacles on the ground. You can only fly in outland zones. When you have the gold, you can upgrade to artisan riding, which costs 5,000 gold to train and 200 gold for a mount. On the ground, these epic flying mounts move at the same speed as an epic ground mount. In the air, they move much faster than anything else. A few rare mounts have an even higher speed than others. There is one flying trainer for each faction, located at your faction's hub in Shadowmoon Valley. And you can see their locations in the flying mount section of this video, along with the faction-specific mounts. Druids can learn to fly 2 levels earlier at 68, with a special flight form that functions like a class-specific mount. They'll learn expert riding from their class trainer, but must still purchase the artisan riding skill to go faster. In addition to upgrading your mount and your riding skill, you can increase your mounted movement speed in a few other ways. The carrot on a stick is a trinket that increases your mount speed by 3%. It's a reward for a quest in the Zul'Farrak dungeon. The riding skill enchantment can be placed on your gloves by someone with the enchanting profession. It increases mount speed by 2%. You can also add some mithril spurs to your boots to increase your mount speed by 4%. They can be made by someone with 235 skill in blacksmithing. All 3 of these effects can stack. In TBC, there are a couple of new trinkets that can be used as replacements for the vanilla items. These trinkets don't stack with other effects, but they each grant 10% increased mount speed on their own. The first trinket is the riding crop, which is made with 350 leatherworking skill. The other trinket is the Skybreaker Whip, which is earned from a quest at Honored Reputation with the Netherwing faction. Finally, Paladins gain a new ability in TBC, Crusader Aura, which gives everyone in the Paladins party a 20% mount speed increase. It doesn't stack with any of the other bonuses. Now that we've covered riding skill, let's go through all of the mounts in the game and where you can get them, starting with ground mounts. Paladins and Warlocks are the only classes lucky enough to get their own special class mounts. Warlocks can learn to summon a Felsteed from their class trainer at level 30. At level 60, they can complete a lengthy questline to summon a Dreadsteed. Paladins likewise learn to summon a Warhorse from their class trainer at level 30, and gain the ability to summon a Charger from a questline at level 60. Blood Elves are the new Paladin race in TBC, and they gain their own versions of these mounts with a unique quest chain at level 60. Every race has its own ground mounts and riding trainers. You can access the vendor and trainer for your race automatically. To access them for any other race, you'll need exalted reputation with that race's faction. Riding skill for humans can be learned at Eastvale Logging Camp in Eastern Elwyn Forest. You'll also find a mount vendor nearby. Humans are the only race who have an extra mount vendor, found at Menethil Harbor in the wetlands. The human mounts are horses, and they require either a human character or exalted reputation with Stormwind to purchase. The Night Elf riding trainer is located at Cenarian Enclave in Darnassus. He's standing close to the mount vendor, who sells saber mounts to Night Elves and characters who have earned exalted reputation with Darnassus. Dwarves can learn their riding skill at Amberstill Ranch in the eastern portion of Dunmorrow. You'll find the riding trainer there along with the mount vendor. Dwarves and characters who have earned exalted reputation with Ironforge can purchase several ram mounts. Gnomes also teach riding in Dunmorrow at Steel Grills Depot, just outside Caranos. The riding trainer is here along with the mount vendor, who sells mechanical mounts to other gnomes or anyone who has exalted reputation with Gnomerican exiles. These mounts are notable for only being usable by gnomes and dwarves, and not the other Alliance races. The Draenei are the new race for Alliance in TBC, and they can learn riding right outside the city of Exodar in Azurmist Isle. There you'll find the riding trainer along with the mount vendor, who will only deal with other Draenei and those who have earned exalted with the Exodar faction. Switching to Horde, the Orcs teach riding in the Valley of Honor in Orgrimmar. The riding trainer is there right beside the mount vendor. They sell wolf mounts to Orcs and those who have reached exalted reputation with Orgrimmar. Trolls teach riding at Sen'jin Village on the southern end of Durotar. Their riding trainer is there along with the mount vendor, who sells raptor mounts to trolls and others who have reached exalted with Darkspear trolls. Note that Tauren characters are unable to use these mounts. Taurens can learn riding at Bloodhoof Village in Mulgore, where the riding trainer and mount vendor are located. If you're a Tauren or have earned exalted reputation with Thunder Bluff, you can purchase their Kodo mounts. The Undead offer riding at Brill in Tirisfal Glades. The riding trainer is right outside the stable, and the mount vendor is behind her. If you're Undead or have earned exalted with Undercity, they'll sell you skeletal horses. Like raptors, these mounts can't be ridden by Taurens. The new race for Horde in TBC is the Blood Elves, and their riding trainer is located at Thuron's Livery in Eversong Woods. Right outside, you'll find the mount vendor, with several Hawkstrider mounts available for Blood Elves and characters who are exalted with Silvermoon City. Sadly, Tauren characters can't ride these mounts either. While most players start out with a basic mount for their race or class, There are plenty of other mounts that you can acquire, starting with PvP mounts. Each faction has their own set of mounts that can be purchased with Battleground Marks of Honor. For Alliance, most of the PvP mounts can be purchased at the Champions Hall in the Old Town section of Stormwind City. The Alterac Valley mount is the exception, and can only be bought by visiting the Alliance's encampment in Alterac Mountains. There are 6 PvP mounts in total, including an Elec mount that is new in TBC. The Black Battle Strider is only usable by gnomes and dwarves, like the other mechanical mounts. For Horde, the bulk of the PvP mounts are sold at the Hall of Legends, in the entrance to the Valley of Spirits in Orgrimmar. The exception is the Alterac Valley mount, which can only be bought at the Horde encampment in Alterac Mountains. Again, there are 6 total PvP mounts, with a new Warstrider mount for TBC. Like their racial counterparts, the Black War Raptor, Red Skeletal Warhorse, and Swift Warstrider can't be used by Taurens. One of the more obscure mounts in the game is the Winter Spring Frost Saber, which requires a long reputation grind at Frost Saber Rock in the Winter Spring Zone. This mount is only available to Alliance characters. A Horde equivalent was not added to the game until Wrath of the Lich King. There are 3 mounts that can drop from Khorne Direbrew, a special boss in the Blackrock Depths dungeon, who only appears during the Brewfest holiday event in October. These include a Standard Ram, an Epic Ram, and an Epic Kodo. One of the rarest mounts in the game drops from Baron Rivendare, the last boss in the undead wing of the Stratholme dungeon. This mount is the Death Charger, which resembles the skeletal horses used by the undead. There are 5 Karaji battle tank mounts in the game, but these aren't like other mounts. 4 of them drop from trash mobs in the Temple of Ahn'Qiraj raid, and they can only be used inside that instance. The 5th variation is easily the rarest mount in WoW Classic, and is no longer obtainable in TBC. It could only be earned by players who rang the gong during the opening of the Gates of Ahn'Qiraj event. 2 rare mounts drop inside the Zul'Gurub raid. Bloodlord Mandukir can drop the Swift Rizashi Raptor, while High Priest Thakal can drop the Swift Zulian Tiger. These mounts are highly prized and only available until the release of Cataclysm. The Burning Crusade brought some new ground mounts to the game, starting with a mount that drops from the first boss in the Karazhan raid. The Fiery Warhorse is a unique horse mount with glowing fell green effects. Druids who have completed their Swift Flightform questline are able to summon a special boss in the Sethek Halls dungeon, who can drop the Raven Lord mount. This mount can be used by non-druids, but you will need to have a druid in the group to summon the boss. The Zolaman raid offers special rewards to players who defeat all of the bosses within the time limit. One of those rewards is the Amani Warbear, a mount that is only obtainable in the last 2 phases of TBC, becoming unavailable with the launch of Wrath of the Lich King. The last of the rare drop ground mounts in TBC comes from the Magister's Terrace dungeon, which is added in the final phase of the expansion. The Swift White Hawkstrider resembles the Blood Elf racial mounts, but unlike those, it can be used by Taurens, as well as Alliance characters. There are several Talbuk mounts that can be obtained in TBC. 2 of these come from the Hala World PvP area in Nagrand. They can be purchased with tokens that are earned through PvP there. There are 2 epic mounts available, sold by your faction's Blade Merchant when you control the hub. The rest of the Talbuk mounts are sold by either the Kuranai or Maghar faction. Alliance will find the Kuranai Quartermaster at Talar in southern Nagrand. For Horde, the Maghar Quartermaster is at Garadar in northern Nagrand. Both vendors sell 8 epic Talbuk mounts once you reach Exalted with their faction. The final 2 ground mounts that are currently in the game are obtained from the BattleNet shop. The Cerulean Phase Hunter comes from the Outland Heroic Pack or Outland Epic Pack. The Reawakened Phase Hunter comes from the Dark Portal Pack, or it can be purchased separately. That's all of the ground mounts in TBC. Now let's take a look at the flying mounts. First, Druids get to be their own mount. They can learn Flight Form from their class trainer at level 68. At level 70, they can complete a quest chain to learn Swift Flight Form. These forms are instant, unlike actual mounts that have a cast time, and you can pick up herbs and quest items without having to drop out of Flight Form. Night Elves and Tauren each have their own variations of these forms. Everyone else will learn to fly from their faction's flying trainer in Shadowmoon Valley. Alliance will head to Wildhammer's Stronghold to find their flying trainer. There's a mount vendor nearby who sells both standard and epic Griffin mounts. Horde will travel to Shadowmoon Village to find their flying trainer. Nearby, their mount vendor sells standard and epic Windrider mounts. There are several flying mounts available from Outland Reputations, starting with Cenarian Expedition. Their quartermaster is located at Cenarian Refuge in Zangarmarsh. When you reach Exalted status, you can purchase the Cenarian War Hippogriff for a very pricey 1600 gold. The Shatari Skyguard faction offers several mounts beginning in Phase 2. Their quartermaster is found at Blackwind Landing in Terrakar Forest. She sells 5 epic Netherray mounts when you reach Exalted Reputation, each costing 200 gold. The last set of Reputation mounts comes from the Netherwing faction starting in Phase 3. Their quartermaster is located at Dragonmaw Base Camp on Netherwing Ledge in Shadowmoon Valley. At Exalted status, he sells 6 different Netherwing Drakes for 200 gold apiece. There are 2 helicopter mounts that can be crafted with the engineering profession. While these mounts are tradable, they do require engineering skill to use. There's the standard flying machine and its epic counterpart, the turbocharged flying machine. Both schematics are taught by your faction's master engineering trainer in Hellfire Peninsula. During the Hallow's End holiday event in October, a flying mount drops from the Headless Horseman, a special boss that can be fought inside the graveyard wing of the Scarlet Monastery dungeon. He has a chance to drop his mount, an epic flying horse. It resembles a flying version of the Fiery Warhorse ground mount. There is one flying mount that drops in a TBC raid, which is highly coveted for its 310% movement speed and unique appearance. It drops from Kael'thas Sunstrider, the final boss in Tempest Keep. This mount is the Ashes of Alar, which is a mount version of the first boss of the raid, a brilliant yellow and pink phoenix. There are a few more 310% mounts in TBC, all of which are earned through PvP arenas. You'll have to climb the ranks to become a gladiator in order to earn these mounts. There are 4 of these Nether Drakes, one for each PvP season in the expansion. Finally, there are 2 additional flying mounts currently in the game. One is the Starshard Nether Drake, which comes from the Outland Hero Pack or Outland Epic Pack. The other is the Voidfeather Dragonhawk, which was earned during the first phase of the new Midnight expansion for retail World of Warcraft, and is no longer obtainable. That's absolutely everything there is to know about mounts and riding in the Burning Crusade. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our written guides in the description. And set your Hearthstone to warcrafttavern.com for more WoW Classic guides, news, and tools.